What is up, everybody? It's ya boy back at it again with more Wilds of Eldraine quick drafts while all of the player drafts are down. They might be back up by the time that this video releases, but I record my videos in large one-day long chunks where I do 3 or 4 drafts in one day, so at the time of recording, quick draft is the only available draft format. Without further ado, let's get into our pack 1 pick 1, which is going to easily be Gumdrop Poisoner. This card looks really sweet. I've played against it a lot. I've never actually gotten to draft it yet. I might have been past it in pack 2 or pack 3 when I was already committed to other colors, but I don't remember ever opening up this card, and I am happy to try to play around with it today. Very, very nice 2-for-1 creature, a removal spell, and a creature all in one, thanks to its ability to make a food token, then eat that food token later. So when it enters the battlefield, you're giving something -3/-3, because you've gained 3 life the turn you cast it. So, pretty sweet card. Removal plus a creature all in one, and it's a 3/2 lifelinker, so it can keep you in the game pretty well. I'm going to happily take Gumdrop Poisoner out of this pack. For pack 1, pick 2, we've got a lot of notable cards here. There's a Sweet Tooth Witch, which is more food synergy for Gumdrop Poisoner. There's a Feed the Cauldron, which is also more food synergy. So the nice cheap removal spell or the nice cheap creature. The removal's a little mediocre since it's specifically targeting creatures with mana value 3 or less, which is why I wouldn't just slam dunk the removal spell over the Sweet Tooth Witch. I think that's actually a pretty comparable pick there, and you could go either way. There's also Rat Out for removal that only works on tiny creatures. And there's some good off-color stuff like Root Rider Fawn, Two-Headed Giant, or Two-Headed Hunter, and Edgewall Pack. But I think we're sticking to black with Gumdrop Poisoner when these black cards are pretty much as good as anything off-color in the pack. So really the pick is kind of a coin toss between the Sweet Tooth Witch and the Feed the Cauldron. And I think since we are literally starting off with a 3-drop creature, this is more like a 5-drop creature though, because you don't want to play it till turn 5, eat a food, and use it. So I guess I could still take a 3-drop creature. I was going to say I'll take the removal over the Witch, because we're just starting with a 3-drop creature, but technically we're starting with a 5-drop creature that's also a removal spell, so either way, our pick's a little redundant, but we're like 1 pick in, so it doesn't matter too much. I'm going to go for Sweet Tooth Witch here, actually, over the Feed the Cauldron. I think that's just a creature that has played really well, getting us those 2 cards for 1 mana, the Witch itself and the food. For bargaining, for sacrificing to other effects, stuff like that. For pack 1, pick 3, my favorite cards are Genealogist and Archive Dragon. I think Archive Dragon's the strongest card. I'm just not in love with blue in the format. I think I still gotta just take the Archive Dragon here, though. Big flying ward creature, scries into some goodies, too. Wow, and now we just take another Archive Dragon, or we take a Threadbind Clique and try to get some fixing off of cards like Prophetic Prism to help get the Rip the Seams adventure into the deck. That would be reasonable. Collector's Vault would be another fixing card like that, but I think just playing a bunch of Archive Dragons and having these like scry into your other win cons is a good way to close out a game. So let's take another Archive Dragon. Now we've got another Sweet Tooth Witch for consistency. That seems perfectly reasonable to me. We could also take Evolving Wilds for some fixing if we want. Well, let's grab another Witch. Now we probably take Frolicking Familiar. It's not great without the red mana, but it's still fine, and if we do get some fixing for the red mana, it will be spectacular for that adventure. Barrow Naughty's pretty nice in this archetype. We do need to draft some fairies, probably like 5 or more ideally in the deck, but if this is a lifelinker, a 2-mana 1/3 lifelinker, well, flying lifelinker is a pretty big deal. Pretty nice blocker, always draining you some life. Can do some great stuff in this color pair. That's a pick 8 Hopeful Vigil. I'm only 3 cards deep into blue. Hopeful Vigil is just like the best white common in my opinion. Synergizes so well with so many archetypes in the format. It's 2 permanents for celebration. It's 2 different cards that can be bargained away for the bargain mechanic. It's doing a lot of excellent things. I'm going to take Hopeful Vigil over Crystal Grotto or Scarecrow Guide, but these would be reasonable too for flexible fixing. Now, don't love these blue cards. Sleight of Hand is fine, or we can take Financier for another filler white card. I'm going to go for the Financier in case the Hopeful Vigil pivot works out. as a thing to do. Ice Out is excellent with hatching plans, with things that you really want to bargain. Otherwise, it's just okay. But it could be the thing. We could be like blue-black control. Rat Out's going to go fine in that deck as well, while also being playable in black-white if we end up in that direction. So I'm going to take Rat Out, a little more flexible. I don't like Curiosity very much unless you have a ton of cheap flyers, because the risk of just getting 2-for-1 is pretty high, and even if you draw just one card off of it, then your creature gets killed. It doesn't play particularly well. So I think I'd rather grab Armory Mice to work well with the Hopeful Vigil if we go black-white instead. Or Charmed Clothier. Again, I'm sure this is a very debatable draft, but I have personally had some really, really rough experiences with blue overall, pretty consistently. So if the blue card isn't like a lot better than the off-color stuff, I'm going to keep speculating on potentially ending up in a non-blue deck like black-white here. So let's grab an Armory Mice. Right. Return Triumphant could be okay in black-white. Evolving Wilds will be fixing in anything. Stormkeld Prowler, not going to do much even if we're blue-black. Pack 2, pick 1 Gruff Triplets. The strongest rare in the format. 3/3/3s off one card. They just get bigger as they die. I mean, I think I have to take that over basically anything. And give up on both of the other potential decks we were playing and just become green-black Gruff Triplets Hamlet Glutton. We have to take green cards over pretty much everything now to get enough green into the deck to hit the triple green for Gruff Triplets. But this card is so absurd that even in player drafts, you should basically always try to force into this color. If you get it, pack 2, pick 1. Pack 3 is where it's hard to pivot because it is triple green, but pack 2, you've still got time to take a ton of green cards and really get there. And in quick draft, I would say even more so. Quick draft, there's usually some decent stuff in almost every color going late in basically every pack. So it should be a much easier pivot here. Yeah, like we're just immediately start taking the best green card in every pack to up our green count. And then when there's not green in the pack, we keep taking good black and go from there. That's double Hamlet Glutton. Oh my god, triple Hamlet Glutton, I guess. 3/5 drops in a row. That's how you do it, I guess. We can take a Prophetic Prism, which can help hit the triple green. Turn one of our sources into another green source, and it's bargain fodder for the 3 copies of Hamlet Glutton that we have. So I actually think Prism looks nice in here, even if we're just 2 colors. Whereas Beanstalk Worm, I don't know if I want to 4th 5-drop this early, so I'm going to grab the Prism over that. And the Prism would make like a Sir Armont Splash a thing we could do. I guess I do have to also consider green-white, looking at 4 white playables. Our black cards are much better, though. Gumdrop Poisoner, double Sweet Tooth Witch. Well, Gumdrop Poisoner is excellent. Rat Out and double Sweet Tooth Witch are pretty good. Barrow Naughty, just not that exciting outside of blue-black. But that's 1 excellent card and 3 solid ones. In white, we've got 1 excellent card and 3 eh. But, I mean, I don't like these black cards very much. I think Fell Horseman is the best one. Obviously, if a Gruff Triplets dies, that's super gross to put it back into your hand. But it is a very, very slow, very late game play, and I already have 4 very slow, very late game plays. So, could try to take another Vigil and go on green-white here, but I guess I'll go Armont because that would work in green-white and in green-black off of enough Prism-style cards. So we'll take the Armont. It is awkward to have a 4th 5 drop this, a 4th 5 drop this early, though. And now we yet again have the very slow Fell Horseman or an early game white spell. Guess I can take an early game green spell, but I don't think either of these are good. Low toughness, low stats for their cost in general. I think I'm just going to take the Horseman this time. Okay, I mean, there's a Celebrant for more good white. The green's just straight not good. The black's just straight not good. Okay, I can take a 2-mana 2/3 to just slow things down in green. Just block in the early game. Another Financier, there are no green or black cards, so no option even there. Don't like Assassin much, so Light Blades it is, although I don't like that too much either. Alright, throw in the filler Outrider, throw in the filler Outrider. And I'd like to be green-black, but at this rate, 7 white cards, 7 black cards. We are 50-50 on that one. Brave the Wilds is going to be good in this deck no matter what, because we're going to want to run like 9 or 10 green sources to get to Gruff Triplets, so that's going to guarantee we have so many green sources that we always immediately turn Brave the Wilds into another color of land, whatever kind we need. So I think I take Brave the Wilds as a definite card making it in. Yenna's fun with certain enchantments that you can copy, but we don't have like any Yenna synergies. Yenna looks like a 4-mana 4/4 for this deck that does literally nothing else. So that's not the pick. Yeah, Brave the Wilds. Let's work on that mana. Now a Root Rider Fawn is a way to ramp into our Hamlet Gluttons and our Gruff Triplets, and a way to fix for our secondary color. I'm very happy to take that. Hello, Arena? Okay, the internet's fine. Magic Arena is not. I'm in a quick draft and the bots won't pass me a pack. I guess it's time to reopen. Luckily, we're in a quick draft, so we can't time out of this pick. Theoretically, they've been having a lot of issues with player drafts, so I guess something really weird could happen and quick drafts could mess up too. We'll see. Alright, I made it back into the draft, and it looks like it reversed more than one pick even, because I think I took Brave the Wilds here, and then I think I made another pick. I don't know, it's been like 10 minutes before I got back in. Yeah, we took Brave the Wilds here, I'm pretty certain. There we go, and then we took Root Rider Fawn. Yeah, it reversed multiple packs. And then this is a new pack, but we'll certainly take another Root Rider Fawn. Then so let's check our counts here. Because now with double Root Rider Fawn, like our curve's going to be fine. No matter what, we need to check our color counts and see if I am allowed to go black. I'm pretty sure I am. I can take Voracious Vermin and go green-black here. 1, 2... I guess we can just check this. 7 black cards, 8 white cards, 11 green, so 18 cards total if we're going green-black, 19 if we're going green-white. That's enough to go either way. Let's take the Voracious Vermin, try to keep it on green-black so we can get that Gumdrop Poisoner power into this deck. Then we can still do a little bit of splashing for Sir Armont and Neva if we want. Yeah, curve looks a little open at 4 mana for a Neva in here. I could play a Grim Search just to find Gruff Triplets. So I might not have to do any splashing here. But Brave the Wilds, Evolving Wilds, double Fawn, Prism, splashing's pretty easy for this deck. But part of what I'm splashing for is a 5-drop Sir Armont, which is like, I already have 4 5-drops basically, so I might not want to do that anyway for curve purposes. Plus, Neva is basically just another Fell Horseman, just picking something up from the graveyard mostly. Just a little more efficient at doing so. Yeah, maybe we do actually just take Grim Search and go green-black. Use it to dig into triplets. Okay, Conceived Witch is fine. Or another Evolving Wilds, but let's take the Witch. Ooh, Minstrosity looks perfect. Get another 2-drop into the deck. Dies into a food token. I do need to consider the removal spell here as well. Because currently we just have Gumdrop Poisoner and that's it for removal. Yeah. Stick to our more defensive Dirtly 2-drops so that I can have another removal spell. Seems fine. We'll take the Shatter. Another Witch Stalker for another defensive Dirtly 2-drop. Another Fell Horseman for very late game. Another Not Dead After All. I don't even know if I'm playing the first in this deck. Probably. It is very good with Gumdrop Poisoner. Trade it off, gain 3 life when you do so that when it reanimates itself, you give something -3/-3. Actually, hold up. I might play both of these. Take another Outrider that's unlikely to make the cut, but it does work with the double Witch Stalker. That's a thing. I'm definitely playing Not Dead After Alls over the Leaping Ambush now that I think about the Gumdrop Poisoner synergies. Okay, so we have 1 land in here, 27 cards total, so 26 non-lands. We still need to cut like 3 cards. One of our non-lands is a Brave the Wilds, which kind of works as a land if we have enough green cards in the deck. Don't love Barrow Naughty without fairies. We could drop that. We've got 19 creatures, so we can drop some creatures. Drop an Outrider, drop a Barrow Naughty, drop a land for Brave the Wilds, call it a deck. Seems fine. Still double Fawn for hitting the high mana value stuff. Still, so 17 lands and 2 Fawn, basically, if I cut a land for Brave the Wilds. But Fell Horseman's also a super late game play, so I think we want to go 17 lands plus Brave the Wilds to make it a functionally 18 land deck. We just cut probably just the second Outrider. And then I will call it a deck there. Just edit the mana base a little bit. Go 9/7 with an Evolving Wilds. 9 to get the Brave the Wilds consistently. And the Fawns and everything like that. Prism helps a lot too. Yep, 9/7 plus Evolving Wilds to get the Gruff Triplets, to get Brave the Wilds and Fawns getting cast early. Seems good to me. Alright, here's a look at our final deck list for today. We are on another green-black mid-range pile because we opened up Gruff Triplets Pack 2 and Gumdrop Poisoner Pack 1. So we started heavy in black, dancing between black, white, and black, blue, and then got pushed into green with the Gruff Triplets, so that is where we've ended up. Again, not the greatest removal, but we've got a lot of very high-quality cards. We only have Shatter the Oath and Gumdrop Poisoner for actual removal spells, but those are both pretty solid ones. When it comes to high-value cards, Gumdrop Poisoner, triple Hamlet Glutton, and a Gruff Triplets mean we have incredible things happening late game, so we just want to make sure that we're trading our early game creatures like Conceited Witches, Sweet Tooth Witches, Vermins, all that kind of stuff, just trading these off to stay alive, and then dropping some big, massive finishers in the late game. It's like pretty powerful stuff overall, some cute synergies with Not Dead After All that works really great with Gumdrop Poisoner, but also works well with Gruff Triplets and the Hamlet Gluttons. Yeah, so a little bit of cute synergies. We also have the Grim Search to dig for triplets, but overall, just another green-black mid-range pile. Without further ado, let's head into the gameplay. See how it does. Alright, here we are recording the gameplay a day later because Arena blew up mid-draft. It actually exploded right after I played Game 1, and then I came back and it basically deleted Game 1 from existence. So we are currently 0-0, so this will be the first game that actually matters, I guess. So without further ado, let's get into the game. We've got a decent opening hand. I obviously don't love the double Not Dead After All here, when we would rather have more ways to survive till we hit turn 6, like some more early game creatures and stuff, than ways to protect something as dirtily as a Territorial Witch Stalker. But our first draw was pretty great, a Verdant Outrider to go with the Witch Stalker to get it attacking immediately. So we'll take that. Another thing that would be better than Not Dead After All would just be more lands to guarantee the Gruff Triplets later, but we've got both our colors and the strongest card in our deck. Definitely got to be a keep there. We are playing against green-blue. Could play a Root Rider Fawn here to get ramping up a little bit. I don't really need the ramp until I'm potentially reaching 6 mana, so I think I can go Witch Stalker, then Outrider, then Root Rider Fawn turn 4. Still play triplets turn 5 if we hit lands. So I'm going to go Witch Stalker first. Potentially actually chip in for some damage with the Verdant Outrider and the Witch Stalker. Dream team. Impact Tremors turn 2. Little weird in green, blue, red, but they might have a lot of token production. Card is basically just for the red-black kind of rats archetype that can make a bunch of tokens. But who knows? We'll see what kind of creature count they have, what kind of token production they have. We might still take a bunch of damage over time. They could just have this with the Song of Totentans, but Song of Totentans already pretty much enough to kill you no matter what. If they have Song of Totentans and Impact Tremors, we're super dead. That is one of the best bomb rares in the set. A red and X mana to make X rats and give them all haste. If they've got that alongside the Impact Tremors, then there's not much we can do. Alright, Tempest Heart is the play turn 4. Take our Impact Tremors damage there, and we do miss a land drop, so we are not going to have turn 5 Gruff Triplets no matter what. We can use Root Rider Fawn. Well, we can cast Root Rider Fawn and hold up the Not Dead After All mana, or the Tempt with Treats mana. Seems decent. Top deck a land and we get to Gumdrop Poison or something next turn. Hopefully they cast the Hollow Scavenger for us to have a good target. It's probably the line. Get the Fawn down to open us up to being able to do more things next turn. Still holding up our black instance here. Tattered Ratter, alright. They probably do have some rat production to go with that Impact Tremors. There's the Hollow Scavenger, perfect. They are tapped out of eating the food, so I will, if we top deck a land, try to kill the Hollow Scavenger with the Gumdrop Poisoner by eating the food and then casting the Poisoner, giving something -3/-3. Alright, no attacks. Let's get our Tempt with Treats. And there is the land drop. Beautiful. So I could still send Outrider in. It just trades with Ratter at this point. Then I have Not Dead After Alls as options instead of Gumdrop Poisoner. Yeah, I mean, if that ends up looking significantly better, we can do that. So here I could clear out everybody but the Tempest Heart in terms of creatures on the ground if we Gumdrop Poisoner. Alternatively, we Not Dead After All, drop a Witch Stalker. Save the food for later. This is also fine, honestly. With the Gruff Triplets coming up, let's just like wipe out the current board state, I think. And buy some time to hit another land for triplets. Don't need to keep the 4/2 as kind of a win con at all here. Plus, Not Dead After All is a really good combo with Gumdrop Poisoner because it can chump block something, deal 3 damage to it, gain us 3 life, then we reanimate it, and it gives whatever it chump blocked -3/-3, so we get the Gumdrop Poisoner to trade up into a 6 toughness creature and just become larger in the future. Alright, well, so much for that, because that's Gruff Triplets mana. So no, not dead after all right now. Here's a triplets while they're tapped out of blue. Not that it looks like they are going to have a lot of counter spells. They're probably splashing blue for that fairy. And their adventures, their scan the clouds off the Tempest Heart, some stuff like that. Well, it's a big assumption. But we've only seen one island and one blue spell, so there is that. They are just going to concede the game. That is definitely going to happen when you resolve some Gruff triplets. We have cast a lot of Gruff triplets in this format. This is the deck that's supposed to let the Gumdrop Poisoner really take the spotlight, but then we opened up Gruff triplets again, and now it's just like our 4th or 5th Gruff triplets deck. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You open up a card that powerful, you kind of have to pivot and run the biggest bomb in the format. Alright, here we are on the play with a really slow hand. We are on the play, which helps, but I don't have any bargain fodder for Glutton unless I hit a cheaper creature. So I put a Wicked Roll on it with one of these 2 cards. And I'm hoping to top deck early goodies for this hand, but it's got solid mana, but it is aggressively slow. I'm just going to be a little greedy here and cast whatever we draw into. I think I'm going to Wilds for a green source, because we have both a double green and a double black card in hand, and we have a triple green card in the deck. So we could use a second forest, we could use a second swamp, but there's also a really restrictive card in the deck that wants a third forest. So they probably have a Torch the Tower in the hand. We cast our Fawn, they waited a bit before going to their turn, looked at their mountain, looked at our Fawn. Looks like they have a 1 red mana spell, at least, and Torch the Tower would make the most sense, because if they could bargain it, they could kill the Fawn with it, so that would have gotten them to think a little longer than usual. Could be reading too much into things. They could just be reading the cards, making sure they know everything that's going on here. I think I'm just gonna sit here. Alright, Grabby Giant for an adventure. I could poke them for 1 damage, but if I don't, then thanks to Root Rider Fawn's ability to turn a green man into a black man, I'm holding up both Not Dead After All and my Tempt with Treats. Which feels good, because I'm definitely going to want to Tempt with Treats so that if I top deck a land, I can poison or whatever creature they play. But I also want to have the Not Dead After All to protect the Fawn against non-exile removal. To go for a cut-in or something. I guess they don't have the mana for cut-in yet, but if they went for like Candy Grapple, -3/-3, something like that. Alright, land. Perfect. Perfect. We could Hamlet Glutton. But I can also just Gumdrop Poisoner away the Sweet Tooth Witch and have a Poisoner on board with a Not Dead After All, which is spectacular. So I'm going to just get a Poisoner onto the board alongside a Not Dead After All. Poisoner also quite good with the Fell Horseman if we trade it off. Be able to recast it later for another 2 for 1. See if they have their own Not Dead After All. They do have a treasure token up, so 1 mana. Nope. Are they going to torch the Poisoner? I think it would have been... Yeah, we're cool with this. Obviously, I'm a little sad having the Not Dead After All in hand, but it would have been a lot worse for us if they just torched the Fawn earlier. Like, before they passed turn. Okay. Can't cast the Shatter because of the lack of a second black source, unless I hit a 5th land, then I can use Fawn to get black out of this forest. So we're not killing a Grabby Giant, we're just playing Witch Stalker and holding up Not Dead after all, because they exiled our creature instead of putting it in the grave. Alright. A little awkward. I might actually block and Not Dead after all, just to guarantee that I have bargain fodder for Hamlet Glutton next turn. It's a definite way to get an enchantment on the board. Still doesn't feel great though, because I'm spending a card just to stop a bit of damage and try to play a Hamlet Glutton. Yeah, I don't know. I'm at 23 here. I'll just take the 4 and hope to hit any land so we can just cast a Shatter and then use the Wicked Roll from the Shatter to bargain out Hamlet Glutton. Alright, that's fine. Just choose to go for damage here instead of expanding their board state. I am cool with it. Unless they have like a really good 2-mana creature alongside that. Nope. Alright. Yeah, that's fine. Another Hamlet Glutton? Okay, so now I have to just Not Dead after all day long. Let's at least, I guess, give up on Fell Horseman at this point. Ah, oh, snap, I can't. I don't have double black. I was going to say, we can at least just play the Horseman and then Not Dead after all on that. That way we actually trade into the Giant and get a roll onto the board, but I don't have 2 black sources, so I can't. Only have 4 mana up. Man, evolving Wilds into the second green has worked terribly for us. But we did need the second green, we just drew into a 3rd green before a 2nd black, sadly. Alright, well. This is awkward. If their only trick was the 2-headed hunter double strike trick, then we could maybe get a double block on the Grabby Giant and just save the Root Rider Fawn. There's definite risk involved in that, though. But there's risk involved in single blocking and trying to Not Dead after all, too. Okay, well, if that happens, then we're not going to block at all, so we just use this right now. Because now we only have a 1/3 up. We'll just take the 4. I could chump and Wicked Roll the Fawn, but I want to have more creatures out for future blocks. Could Shatter the Grabby Giant, but we know they have a 5/4 Menace coming down at some point. I guess this is a card draw engine, able to sack their food tokens or lands to draw extra cards, but they're stuck on 4 mana. They don't really have time to dump mana into that right now, so I don't think that's super relevant. I think we just play the 6/6. Gain some life, and hit them for 3 with the Witch Stalker. Probably hit them with the Fawn too. There's nothing that 1 green mana is going to help me do here. Alright, there's a Crystal Grotto for their 5th mana, as well as perfect mana fixing. It does put them down 1 mana whenever they need to use it, so if they want to cast a blue spell or a green spell here, they can only cast a 4 mana spell instead of a 5 mana spell. Lord Skittledee's Butcheldy. Just get a rat. Go for Menace. Opponent is very aggressive. If they go for Menace here instead of a rat. Okay. I'll take 6. Alright. Opponent just loves getting damage in over anything else. Probably do hold the Witch Stalker back to play it a little bit extra safe with the way that they're playing. They could just be like a mono red player at heart, and that's why they're doing all this stuff to get a bunch of extra damage in, but This could also imply that they have a big spell like a Song of Totentans or something that's going to pressure us for a ton of damage that we'll want to have an additional blocker up for. And hitting with just the Glutton, putting them down to 9 here does make Shatter with 2 Gluttons on board still really, really close to lethal, even without trying to attack with our 3/3. So we'll hold up the extra blocker here. Just in case they've got the cards to back up their aggressive plays. Return Triumphant? Alright, that's a very big start. That's an extra 4 damage if they throw those food tokens at us with the Sweet Tooth Witch. Oh, hello there. That's 5 blockers up. Yeah. I suppose it's still 4 blockers up even if I attack with Witch Stalker, so I could just do this. Witch Stalker trades into like a 2/3 here, but I think that's fine. 4 blockers up for their 4 attackers. Alright. Current blocks look pretty excellent if they don't have any extra instants in hand. Yeah, this all looks great for us. Alright. Now they're just very far on the defensive. Just the polar opposite of their early plays. They go for the eating the food rather than throwing it at us at this point. We get to kill the witch, so now they can't even throw the other food, and here's a Gruff Triplets to lock things in. Feels like a really good place to be, because with those blocks, we're winning this game without the Gruff Triplets too, because we can just Horseman back a Glutton and play a 3/3. And then I've got a 3/3 to block the 2/2, and we have a Shatter the Oath for if they play anything bad for us next turn. So we're like in a really, really good position. To be able to do a triplets and then still have these 2 cards that would have been winning. Alright, there is the concession. We are now 2-0 as we head into game 3. Here we are for game 3. We basically have no creatures because we don't want to play Horseman unless we have a creature engraved generally. So this is basically like 4 lands, a tiny removal spell, a big removal spell, and 1 very late game play. I'm actually going to mulligan this one. Alright, this is much better early. Just ditch the 5-drop. Wicked Visitor is the first play from our opponents. Witch Stalker is a really nice stat line on this board, 2/3 against the 2/2, but I'm still going to be mana efficient and go for the Sweet Tooth Witch. Keeps their 2/2 from attacking us unless they play something better. Lord Skitter's Blessing is definitely something better. So now they draw an extra card every turn. Yep, lose a life, draw a card every turn. That is not good for me. Well, never in a million years do they take this trade, so we'll hit for 3 and play another Witch to block the Visitor. Yep, it's a massive card engine starting out, turn 2. Doesn't keep giving them wicked rolls though, so if we deal with the wicked visitor, then this doesn't do anything from that point on until they make more rolls with some other card. So that's very nice to keep in mind. This visitor is basically stuck being unable to attack or block if they want to keep drawing cards. It's almost like you pacify your own creature to be able to get that going without any other enchantments in hand. And we're starting to do enough damage here. They really need to get consider getting on blocks here. Unless they can blow up both Sweet Tooth Witches in one turn, they're already down to 5 essentially, because we can deal 4 damage by throwing 2 food tokens at them. Yeah, I guess when you think of it that way, that is a pretty big downside to Lord Skitter's Blessing. That is not a great play pattern, that you sort of have to pacify your own creature while shooting yourself in the face over and over and over again. I think I do Grim Search, sacking the rats, and then go to combat. Could find my 4/2 and then attack with the Witch Stalker as well here. I'm not going to sack a food because it's 2 damage with a Witch, potentially. Oh my god. Rough Triplets Horseman is probably the lineup. I don't actually have the last green source I need for triplets, so is it Brave the Wild's triplets? It might be Brave the Wild's triplets, honestly. Sure. Could bargain to send in another 3/3. Instead of a land, or instead of a 2 damage food, I've got a 3/3 swamp sending in, and I'll still have enough for triplets next turn, even if this land trades off or dies to Negotiator. Sure, I think that's reasonable. Let's bargain. So I've got 5 lands, even without this swamp. Next turn I play another swamp and I've got 6 mana, and we're golden. So they kill 1 creature for free, trade off with 1 and take 6 here. They might kill both the witches. I think that'd probably be... Well, no, Vermin's a pretty big deal. Vermin is a pretty big deal. I don't think the swamp's that big of a deal, though. I don't know if I'd kill that. But if you don't kill both witches, then there's no point in killing one. Yeah, those were their best blocks, I'd say. But yeah, even with just 1 food token, these witches are scary for our opponent. At 6 life here. Alright, there's a Grabby Giant. 2 blockers up for our 2 attackers. We are not sending in here, but we are casting a triplets. Could still send both in, clear out the Grabby Giant. Sack 2 witches to kill 1 giant. That might be worth it if we had no food tokens on board. But until we sacrifice this food to shoot them for 2, to keep the witches. Baronati with another fairy. That's actually a very big deal. Blocker that also gives them extra life. Functionally at 7 right now, thanks to the Baronati. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attackers. The only good block they have is with Negotiator. They could kill all 3 triplets and go to 1 and then die to the Sweet Tooth Witches. Yeah, no, we're attacking with everybody. We're good. The only way they kill all of our triplets and stop them from getting any bigger is by dying. So our opponent has chosen death. We accept this. I see you have chosen wisely. You have chosen death. All right, we are 3-0 now, heading into game 4. All right, game 4, we got some gumdrop poisoner nonsense going on. Nothing. I don't love insta-revealing this, but I do like getting the mana investment out of the way for whatever we end up doing. But now they know we have a gumdrop poisoner. It's not like you can really play around it that well. If they play anything with 3 or less toughness, we're still just going to kill it turn 5. There's not much they can do about that. Let's make a wicked fawn. That's far out, dude. That's wicked. Alright. Woo! And then we play the Conceited Witch rather than poking for 2. Next turn's gonna be fantastic if our fawn doesn't die. Hamlet Glutton or Gumdrop Poisoner. Do we take these trades? It's probably just a trade into a rat out or something, which is not a good deal, so I'm just gonna not block. If it were 100% the onboard trade, I wouldn't mind it. This is the straight up mirror match. Not a lot of green-black decks running Witchstalker, but we are, and our opponent is. Alright. Could Gumdrop poison the Witchstalker, but I can also play a Hamlet Glutton, which is scarier at this point in the game. I think I would rather do that. Let's get our free 2 damage in. Boop. And drop a Glutton. Put our Root Rider Fawn at risk of Candy Grapple now. But it was already at risk if they just sacked their food. And if they have a Candy Grapple here, they're probably using it as a combat trick to kill our Hamlet Glutton rather than our Mana Dork at this point in the game. Unless they've got a Shatter as well. And that's a very clear 1-for-1. Well, they're just going to eat the food nice and early here. Just go back up to 20. Some defensive stuff. Oh, here comes Shatter the Oath. Yup. Goodbye, Glutton. Does give them a 4-power creature for the Witchstalker. It's pretty nice. It is time for the Gumdrop buttons. We gotta eat the food first. But now we kill the Witch, and that stops Witchstalker from attacking as well, unless they hit another 4-power creature. Ferocious Werefox putting a monster roll on the Witchstalker and giving them a 4-power creature for it. That means it's gonna jam in. It's gonna be some damage here. They choose not to, though. They choose to hold up the blocks for the lifelinker, which makes sense. Definitely makes sense. With a Fell Horseman in hand, it could pick up a Hamlet Glutton, but I wouldn't be opposed to just picking up a Gumdrop Poisoner here after ratting out to trade up into Witchstalker. So I think I just send in the squad. Still saving that Shatter the Oath because they are a green deck, so they can certainly play a Glutton or something like that that we'd rather kill. Alright, no kill on the Poisoner, so no super spicy Fell Horseman nonsense there. That's fine. We can just play a Witch here, or get some Grim Search card draw. I think we play the Witch. Keep going for onboard stuff early game. We can do all of our card advantage stuff once we run out of other things to do, run out of things that don't immediately impact the game. There's the Glutton, which is why we keep the Shatter. Ooh, now I don't even have to tap the Fawn. We're going to put a Wicked Roll on the Poisoner to gain more life. Super gross board state. Firmly winning the race. A 4-power lifelinker will really do that, but we've got that alongside 3 other dorks. If it does die, we can just pick it up with a Deathly Ride, recast it, kill another creature. Genealogist, swap the rolls on the Witch Stalker here to the Ward roll. Find a not dead after all for the Poisoner. Filthy. Absolutely filthy. Wipe their whole board if they block and just drain them for 4 if they don't. That's so gross. Yeah, they're just going to concede right now. They don't even want to see it. They don't even want to see the 2-for-1 not dead after all. Reanimate it and kill their other creature with its enter the battlefield effect. Absolutely disgusting stuff there. We are now 4-0 heading into game 5. Incredibly keepable hand for game 5. Double Root Rider Fawn is a little redundant, but we've got great mana going on here to do whatever we want. I'm actually going to hold on to the Brave the Wilds because we have so much mana without them that I'm going to save the Brave the Wilds to turn one of our lands into a 3-3 late game. Get a little bit out of some flood that way. Playing against green-blue, Territorial Witch Stalker to start it off. Here's the Curse to kill the Fawn, but I've got a backup. Nope, it is not a Curse. They're just going to bounce the Fawn. Oh, and we hit a triplets. Well, I was going to play a 3-drop here, but if they just... Well, if we top deck Gruff triplets, I should say, then I just want to get the Mana Dork back out so I can turn 5 of triplets. Next turn, we probably just cast another Fawn and a Brave the Wilds and just be really sure we're playing a triplets next turn, even if they kill one of the Fawns. Yeah. I mean, I lose out on the bargain value of the Brave the Wilds unless I want to make one of my lands at risk of dying. Wouldn't be horrible. I guess I could play Conceited Witch here, or Sweet Tooth Witch here. Have a blocker to trade in a Werefox. We still cast the triplets if they don't kill a Fawn. I think it would have been really reasonable to Brave the Wilds there. Just to super lock in the triplets. But even if we don't play triplets next turn, we're in a pretty great position this game. So I'm going to drop the Sweet Tooth Witch. Because it is much better if they don't kill a Fawn. Alright, we're going to get killed by a guard change or something here. Or we just trade into the 3-3 instead of the 4-3. That's cool too, I believe. Yeah. Trade into the 3-3. Did not get got by a second copy of Guard Change as the adventure, so that was nice. Curse of the Werefox? Alright. No triplets till next turn. There's a Grim Search to find more lands, but Brave the Wilds does so as well. Go Brave the Wilds, Grim Search, or Sweet Tooth Witch, Brave the Wilds, or Conceited Witch, Brave the Wilds. Let's brave it up. Like, that happens no matter what at this point. Now that one of our Fawns is dead. I think I'm just going to hold on to Grim Search here. Garruk's Uprising. Draw a card. Their board has Trample. Spooky. That could actually outrace a Gruff Triplets because they're going to be playing a 6-5 next turn and they just go from there. Sorry, food token. Find Hamlet Glutton, Prophetic Prism. Actually, it's up to 2 cards. I always forget this card is insane. It's up to 2 cards on the back on top. So I could have put just Glutton there and gotten rid of the Prism, which I think would have been better. They have Disdainful Stroke mana up. They have a 6-drop 6-5 in their hand, so I'm just going to wait till they play the 6-drop to try to play triplets. Might be being overly cautious as they're like blue-green ramp stuff here, but they could definitely have a Disdainful Stroke. Counter something that costs 4 or greater. And if they hit land 6, they're definitely just playing a 6-5. Beautiful. Now we're 100% confident that Gruff Triplets will be fine. Cool. Still have our Graveyard Recursion in this deck. Oh, Goose Mother is not fine. We have to top deck removal for that immediately, or we're getting out-bombed. With the Gruff Triplets on board, we're going to get out-bombed. 7/7 Trample Flyer that draws them a card every time it attacks. And they have 3 food tokens to eat to survive over time. Alright, well. That's fair enough, honestly. We've won a majority of these games from just bombing opponents out, so it's about time we balance things out a little bit here. Can drop a Glutton, sack a token triplets to buff the other 2, hold up a rat out here. So if they block with Goose Mother, we win that fight. And we also get a good amount of damage here if they just don't block. Okay, we might not lose. Now we might not lose. But we do lose all of our triplets to deal with this Goose Mother board state. So the entire Gruff Triplets team has been sacrificed for the greater good, but that's kind of the position we were in there when they dropped the Goose Mother. I think that was our best line. Now we are back to playing a regular game of Magic where neither of us has a bomb rare on board. Yep, bunch of 4-power creatures with an uprising for them. We've just got 1/6/6 Glutton trying to hold things off for us. And we could always top deck our Graveyard Recursion to just win out of nowhere still. Oh, the Not Dead After All right after we sent in the whole triplets team. That's a little sad, but Not Dead After All still good with most of our creatures anyway. Do like this 4/2 trading up into a 4/4 or anything like that, so that's cool. We're definitely hoping they don't have any... They're going to draw so many cards. Maybe we'll get them to mill out if we can survive long enough. I doubt it. They still have like 20 cards to work with here, so... If they draw enough cards to where they're at risk of milling out, we're probably just dead to a bunch of beef on the board. But yeah, up the Beanstalk plus Garruk's Uprising. That's a lot of card draw. Brave the Wilds choosing not to bargain still. Don't want a 3/3 land? Maybe they just really want the food to be safe. I don't know. I would have definitely bargained at this point of the game. Alright, pass. Another land for us. We can drop a Conceited Witch. Still holding up our Not Dead After All. And we're just hanging out with our opponent. For quite some time, it looks like. Gumdrop Poisoner could change the board state enough to get swinging with a Hamlet Glutton. Graveyard Recursion on Gruff Triplets could change things. But for the most part, it looks like at this point we're just hoping that our opponent doesn't get enough power out to kill us faster than they mill out. Which is unlikely, because they still have 17 cards left, but who knows. Bitter Chill. Alright, that is the nail in the coffin. Game is definitely over now. They're drawing like 3+ cards a turn, maybe. And we no longer have a big blocker for all the trample. Three. I think I just killed a 4/4 here at the cost of a single 2/3. Rather than killing the 6/5 right now, because then they put the bloodline on something else and draw another card anyway. So yeah, kill the 4/4. I don't know if I even use my not dead after all. Probably kind of have to, just for immediate blocks in the future. Get another trade on board. Yeah, we are more than low enough. We have to get another creature on this board. And probably have to eat this food, but I have enough mana. I think I can wait till my next turn to see what I draw in case I hit the Gumdrop Poisoner. Hit a Voracious Vermin. Straight up have to just hold blocks here. And be very close to dying against an extreme amount of card draw. Welcome to Sweet Tooth with 3 food left behind from the Goose Mother. 4th food from the Welcome, and then they put 5 counters on the board. It's gonna be gross. Alright. Turn from the Wilds for another 1/1 and another food, so Welcome to Sweet Tooth can do +6/+6. Now we just die to the flyer, if nothing else. Put all the counters on that thing. Yep. Getting grinded out by the Bestial Bloodline too. They can slap that onto the flyer next turn. It's like 4 damage here. Down to 3. I'm just gonna eat this food now in case I top deck the Graveyard Recursion. That would take pretty much all my mana to use and then recast a Triplets or something. I forgot we have 2 Fell Horsemen in this deck, so we have 2 pieces of that Graveyard Recursion. Also have 2 Hamlet Gluttons we could hit. I don't think any of these, none of these like straight up win us the game, but if we stack together like 2 really good draws in a row and we make really good lines and our opponent misplays super hard, then, you know, if all these things happen, maybe we get there. So we got like a 5% chance or something. Land definitely doesn't get there though. They have 9 trampling power on the ground. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 toughness. I don't think I can afford to attack still. It's quite unfortunate. Honestly, I think if they just put the bloodline on the flyer and attack with everybody, we're dead. Well, no. Because I have enough toughness on the ground. I can block everything on the ground, but I take all the flying damage, and my life total gets halved here. Alright, attack with just the flyer it is. Down to 3. Another Hamlet Glutton. Buff up the Prowler, draw extra cards. There's our own Hamlet Glutton, but it's an extra 9 damage on the ground, so if they attack with everybody, we're dead. Probably should have actually bargained a rat there. Just to buff the vermin. I guess at that point I just attack with the 2 rats. But yeah, I should have bargained one of them to guarantee that we buff the vermin. Oh yeah, the Welcome to Sweet Tooth just kills us in the sky anyway. Forgot about that popping off this turn. Alright, not a lot we can do there. Opponent just hit a ton of incredible card engines to wrap that game up after the Goose Mother forcing the bomb for bomb trade. Triplets into Goose Mother. But that is fair enough. Most of our victories have been off the back of a Gumdrop Poisoner or a Gruff Triplets, so off the back of some absurd rares. We deserve to have to throw our rare in the trash in competition with another rare at some point. Here we are for game 6. Very much just a setup hand here, but since we do at least have one early game creature, I'm gonna keep it. Well, we've got a plan again. Only the spiciest and most interesting games today. You just, you just cast bombs with graveyard recursion for the bombs. That's all you do. This Horseman is going to put in so much work this game, no matter what it does. It's going to be absurd. The Wicked Brute. Let's hit the board. Well, that is what we will kill with our Gumdrop Poisoner. I actually kind of want to have double black up, so I can tempt with treats and hold up a Not Dead after all. It's going to make the Brave the Wilds a little suspicious on the green. Yeah, I'm not going to have to cast both of these. I'm just going to make it less suspicious by just playing the land that I immediately grabbed. Mono black so far from our opponent. I doubt they're completely mono black, but you really never know with quick drafts. Crazy things happen sometimes. Conceited Witch is the play. Alright, I'm gonna use my Tempt with Treats because I could draw into any of my 3 drops and want to do that next turn alongside a Not Dead after all. Now I have double Horseman. So weirdly enough, I'm just gonna play a Horseman 3/3 here. Have a double block for Conceited Witch, save Not Dead after all for Gumdrop Poisoner or Gruff Triplets, either of them. It's an insane combo with. More insane with the triplets, obviously, but good with either. Alright, we go for the kill on the Ginger Brute here, but let's Horseman into the Witch first and see if we get them to spend any mana on any tricks. Yeah, I'm about to gain 3 life. I can not hold up Horseman on blocks and be fine. Alright, 3 damage it is. Don't get them to expend any tricks yet, so they could still have their tool to save a Ginger Brute. We'll see. Not dead after all, Ginger Brute? No, Ginger Brute is just gone. Cool. Scream Puff. Spooky. Big and spooky. Double block here, they kill the Poisoner. Little sad, but I have the Horseman. So I think it's worth it with Horseman in hand. And we just Not Dead after all the triplets instead. Turn 5 Poisoner into turn 6 triplets is a little silly. Season of Growth, Barrow Naughty. Alright, now we get to hold up Not Dead After All for the rest of mankind. I mean, I think I sent 3 of them in when only 1 is going to die to Scream Puff. And any of them dying buffs the rest of them. Everybody hits. Pick up the Gumdrop Poisoner for next turn. There's the concession from our opponent. Not the most fair game of Magic there. They were going to have to be able to fight through 2 copies of Gumdrop Poisoner and a Gruff Triplets, which is absolutely absurd. We are now 5-1 heading into Game 7. A little low on mana here, but we're on the draw. So I'll keep this 2-lander. It's one of each color at least. We did immediately hit a 3rd land, which is beautiful. We know we're going to get to our 3 drops. And we hit a Witch Stalker to go turn 2 Witch Stalker, turn 3 Outrider. The only thing that makes either of these cards feel remotely playable sometimes. That's how you sometimes get these cards to do things, but our opponent has all open mana in 3 very interactive colors, so one of these 2 things is going to get got, and then the combo is just not going to do anything. Sure, spell stutter the 4-2, so the Witch Stalker waits for a Glutton. But Spell Stutter is now out of the way for our better spells. If they have the any cheap removal, basically Candy Grapple for -3/-3, the 3 mana value or less removal spell, stuff like that, then trying to put a Wicked Roll on the Witch Stalker is just going to get our Witch and Witch Stalker killed, so I weirdly think it's better to just play this as a 2/3 and hold up a Rat Out or Not Dead After All. Just so we don't play into their removal spell, letting it kill both of our creatures if they have one. Alright, Quick Study is going to be the play. The one part that's sad about this is it means I don't have the Wicked Roll to bargain to Hamlet Glutton, but I can get a rat even if they don't play a creature. I can just rat out targeting nothing. Which is obviously not ideal, but it's the difference between a Hamlet Glutton when they're tapped out and not, that I'm going to do it. If they still hold all their mana up, I'm probably not going to rat out the nothing, because then even if I hit the land, I don't know if I'm going to want to try to Hamlet Glutton against the open blue mana again. Against this deck that all we've seen is instants? Okay. They do tap out for Hilda's Crown of Winter, so I am going to rat out to guarantee that if I hit a land, we're dropping a Glutton. Come on, top deck. Come on, top deck, while they're tapped out. Let's go, baby. And that means that the Witch Stalker gets to attack in if I cast this pre-combat. So we'll do so. Send in the squad. Hit for 5 here. Their Evolving Wilds does find them a second blue source. Could be for like a big card like an Archive Dragon. Could be for the 5 mana draw 3 that makes a fairy. Could be for the double blue counterspell. And it could just be because they need to grab a second source of something and they don't actually have any double blue. Alright, Sheree's a little bad. They're always going to be ahead in cards now. With Sheree alongside Hilda's Crown of Winter, that's a pretty disgusting combo. But we're still in the aggressive lead. We're still pressuring them for 5 damage here that they can't stop at all. And I almost feel like I need to keep the pressure on enough to just Horseman back the Outrider to hand and drop another 3/3. Because otherwise, Hilda's Crown of Winter Sheree is going to completely take over this game, drawing another card every single turn, locking down one of our creatures. Yeah, we have to get as aggressive as possible. They win the long game every time with this 2-card combo. So try to make the game as short as possible. Just hit as hard as we can. Hilda's Crown of Winter is already a great rare, but lock it in with Sheree and that's insane. Stop one of our attackers every turn and draw another card every turn. It's gonna be gross. You know, I guess I could play Outrider here, since it hits harder than Horseman. And I'm holding up Not Dead after all by doing that, which is fine. I don't think they're gonna kill anything here, but just up the power on board, present more damage. Plus, we can make this unblockable by the Sheree. And they're in 2 colors that have mostly small creatures, blue and white. So this might just be able to be unblockable by almost anything. Solitary Sanctuary, alright, they're really going for it. So they tap and stun something and put a counter on Sheree now. And then when they do it again next turn, they get a counter on something. Yeah, that's super, super bad. The Sanctuary by itself is definitely the weakest of these 3 cards by a lot, but when you have a Sheree on board and a Hilda's Crown of Winter, Sanctuary becomes a legitimate problem. They are just playing like the 3-card combo deck over there. The Rube Goldberg machine is absolutely popping off. That is not good. Well, another Horseman is good. Tap a Glutton, Sheree becomes a 4/5, we hit with a Witch. Sheree becomes a 4/5, they draw a card, and we hit with a Witch. Good lord. Guess there's no creatures in our grave for this Horseman in the first place. It's a little sad. Unless I chump attack with Witch Stalker just to put one in my grave. So we just cast the exiled one. Kellen's Light Blades. I don't think I want to spend Not Dead after all on them killing my 2/3. I think I'd rather just pick it up with Horseman and save the Not Dead after all, potentially for the Glutton on a later attack. Even if I'm tapped out and Not Dead after all here. For 1 turn. Yeah. Draw a card, get a counter. Say what you will about the blue-white tap archetype, when they get the incredible rare for the archetype, it does pop off. That's basically the one card, though, that has completely changed the course of the game. Without that, I think they would even still just be dead at this point. Yeah, I mean, we're not doing much here. Kind of just slowly losing. I don't have to think through these combat steps too long. Just keep the ball rolling. It could still mill out. They're tapped out of stopping Conceited Witch from working here. So let's do that. While I'm safe to do so. Splashing black for stab wound. So they have double evolving wilds. There's probably another black card in there somewhere. Tap Glutton, we have no attacks. Guess I could send in Witch Stalker on a chump attack. Get rid of the stab wound. Or we deal 1 damage with it. In which case they've essentially made our Witch Stalker unblockable. Let's go. Okay, they are going to block it. Alright, not dead after all to keep the wide board state. 6 creatures against 2 creatures and a tapper. So they drop a 6/5, hold up the tapper, and we have 2 creatures getting in for a minimum of 3 points of damage next turn. Still not nearly enough. But maybe enough to keep the pressure on them, to keep them from attacking us long enough to get the mill out. Yep, stop 4 of our creatures, 1 of them might get in for 1 damage, so no attacks this turn. Drop a Witch Stalker and move on. They've got 12 cards left. They need to kill us in about 6 turns. Assuming they draw an extra 1 card per turn on average. If they do extra things like Transmuter during their turn and Crown of Winter during ours, then that makes it so they need to kill us in only 4 turns, but I think that's going to average out to about 1 extra draw per turn, because once they get really low on their library, they might even stop using the Crown of Winter. So I'm going to estimate they need to kill us in about 6 turns here. Which is very possible, because it's only going to take like 1 attack to kill us if they can clear out all of our blocks. But that is the only thing we can really hold out hope for here. It's very aggressive. Don't think I can not Dead After All on a Fell Horseman, or it just goes to the bottom of my library. If I can do that, it'd be better to chump and not Dead After All on a Horseman, because that would buff my board the most out of any play I could make. I think I'm just gonna take it here instead for now. Three blocks against 5 creatures, because 2 blocks and a tap. Find a mana dork that is worthless at this point. Alright. I mean, it's pretty over. Block, block, take 2. Alright, reverse bombed again. This time we didn't even draw any of our bombs, so the game was just 100% decided by the Crown of Winter. The card of the game. Okay, I can still chump block that with a 1/1. Nine cards in their library. Yeah, we're dead. Show me the counterspell at least, I guess. But they've drawn like 20 extra cards this game. They've drawn 12 extra cards this game. The odds of no counter here are astronomically low. Well, they have the counter, they don't cast it, so we get the Glutton back. Gain some more life, and now it's a 6/6 instead of a 1/1. Or 7/7 even, because it has the Wicked Roll on it. But now they tap that with the Crown of Winter. Lock the 4/2, take 6/7. Even if they didn't have the House Mouse, and since they do have the House Mouse, they only take like 4 damage. If they play another creature, like this Gatekeeper that's in exile, yeah, they've got another one. They do have a lot of cards left when they have drawn 12 extras. Six life, 9 cards in their library, top deck land. Alright. Gonna move on to the next game. Here we are for game number 8, hoping that Prophetic Prism goes the whole way here. Prism into the Fawn, into the Gluttons. Perfect. We draw into the forest, so even if they blow up the Prism with something, we will be fine now. Might spell stutter a Root Rider Fawn out of blue-black. That'd be annoying, but now that we've hit the forest and we have a Prism down, we've got 3 lands total, both our colors. Perfect fixing. I think we'll be fine, even if they counter this. I would still be sad about it, but we'll be fine. Vermin. That is an excellent target for Ran Out. See ya, Vermin. Find a not dead after all. Let's drop our own Vermin then. Don't really want to put a Wicked roll on my 1/1 rat. And if I hit a land, this is the perfect way to spend 4 mana. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. There's already 2 creatures in grave. So they get a +1/+1 counter on the board every single turn, and they get all activated abilities of creatures in graveyards, so they get mana ramp too. I can't block here, they just put a +1/+1 counter on this and win that. Yep. Now every creature they control can tap for a green mana. Oh, Irina's just delivering justice today. You drafted 2 bombs? Get ready to get absolutely destroyed for your 3 losses. By very unique bombs too. Soul Cauldron, not usually like the craziest bomb ever, but specifically if there's a Root Rider Fawn in grave, this card's completely disgusting. Like the variance of that being the first creature in grave for the Soul Cauldron, horrific for me. Absolutely horrific. Every single creature they play for the rest of the game is also a mana dork, including rat tokens and stuff. Technically only one of their creatures per turn because they can only put 1 +1/+1 counter on the board per turn, but still. And there's only one more creature in the grave right now, but give it time. I'm sure they'll keep up. Yep, Collector's Vault definitely makes sure they keep up. They can discard creatures, even if they can't remove things off the board. Yep, use the mana ramp to slow down the Outrider here. But that means they don't hit us. They're not playing another creature. Oh yeah, stuck on mana a little bit there. We're stuck on mana too, but they're at 15. We can try to just jam in for a bunch of damage, I guess. So what do I do here? Play a 2/3 menace or get my Wicked roll? I have 2 rat tokens to bargain. I have a Prophetic Prism to bargain. I think I just play a 2/3 menace. Actually, one of the very few situations where I really wish Gruff Triplets was just a land. Gruff Triplets is so redundant to our game plan this game. We have to out-aggro this Cauldron by a lot, and a 6-drop does not help do that, especially with 2 5-drops in the hand that we don't have mana for. Actually, probably one of the worst Gruff Triplets I've ever drawn, because it's super, super not good here. Alright, get the 3/4 transmuter, which is going to be a 4/5 with the Soul Cauldron. Actually, they're out of creatures in grave now. Because they chose to spend Cauldron during our turn instead of waiting for transmuter to hit the board. So we send in everybody, and whatever they kill with transmuter, we not dead after all. Oh no, this completely doesn't even work against Soul Cauldron. Yeah, unless they've already used Soul Cauldron, this card just doesn't work. Oh my god, that's gross. Well, so what are we doing here? We're sacking Vermin to hit them for 5, basically. Is what's happening. Is that worth it? Probably. Soul Cauldron's actually insanely good against our deck because we have 2 not dead after all, and we have 2 Fell Horsemen, and those cards are just like complete blanks against Soul Cauldron. That's so filthy. Yeah, I mean, I do this. It goes to the grave with that ability on the stack, they exile it, and it doesn't come back. Because now it's in exile. That is such a salt in the wound draw. That was the time to hit land 5. They're tapped out from counters. We drop a glutton. I mean, they've got 1 green mana up, but we draw into Graveyard Recursion against the Cauldron. Love to see it. So if I attack with everybody, I hit them for 3 now and put them to 2 life. Which is interesting with Wicked rolls potentially at our disposal in the future. I'd probably kill these 2. Take 3. Yeah. Okay. Our opponent's got 2 life, and we've got a dream. Oh, food token. Now they're at 5. Oh, tapped out. Now we have top decks that just kill them. Even with the Cursed Roll on Witch, if I hit... Oh no, I don't have enough mana. If I had 1 more mana, then if we hit our 5 mana removal, we just kill them. Or our Sweet Tooth Witch, because then we'd play the Witch and throw the food at them for 2. If I attack with everybody, nothing happens now, right? I mean, I could put them to 1 with no extra way to hit them for 1. Kill that. Double block, kill the menace. Not dead after all does absolutely nothing. So we're on play the fawn, and I guess now we have to hope to get to triplets at this point. World's best matchup for Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Now they can make it so their creature can't be blocked by our stuff with power 2 or less. Well, all their creatures with counters, if they spend the 2 mana. They have the 4/4 trick. They can throw food at us and kill us here. They're running Water Wings. Not a massively popular card. I think I still need to keep this board state wide so I have more potential outs to victory here. But we are leaving ourselves dead to Water Wings, but I'm gonna die to Water Wings. That's just the kind of day it is. Sugar Rush? Die to Sugar Rush? Alright. I mean, we were already pretty much losing this game regardless. This was just some very rough variance for us these last few games. 5-0 into 5-3. Actually, we might have been 4-1 and then went 5-1, and now we go from 5-1 to 5-3. Either way, pretty rough way to end it. I think this deck was very, very good, so I'm happy to get at least a 5-3, but I think 5-3 is probably the lower end of what this deck is capable of. Not because of the quality of cards in the deck as a whole, or the quality of synergies in the deck or anything, but just the quality of some of the individual cards in this deck really carried, as we saw from Gruff Triplets and Gumdrop Poisoner. But there were still some good synergies in here, mainly with Gumdrop Poisoner and Gruff Triplets. Having those alongside the Fell Horsemans and the Not Dead After Alls was incredible. With either of these cards, we're basically always winning that game if we get that combo going. Just recur either of these. So that was really good. Most awkward thing about our deck, I think, is the Witch Stalker, Verdant Outrider stuff. These cards by themselves are pretty bad. Those are the lowest that our card quality gets in general. Other than that, it's not horrible, honestly. The rares are incredible. The Sweet Tooth Witches, the Vermin, Conceited Witch, Root Rider Fawn, Fell Horseman, those are all very, very serviceable cards because of the build of our deck. Horseman I wouldn't play that much, Not Dead After I wouldn't play that much, but I think in this deck it's super correct too. So I think this is all pretty much premium, pretty much exactly what you want it to be. If we could have swapped these out for a couple Candy Grapples and another Shatter, or like a Candy Grapple and, I don't know, just a little bit more removal, a little bit better non-creature stuff, or a slight better curve, maybe swap for another Fawn or something, then I think we'd have the perfect build of this. But our quick draft pod just did not see a lot of efficient black removal, sadly for us, or a lot of efficient removal in general in our 2 colors we ended up in. Still pretty happy with how I drafted, still pretty happy with how I played. We just hit some rough variance there. Sometimes you get to be the Bomberman, and sometimes you're the Bommy. Sometimes you're the one getting exploded by Hilda's Ice Crown and the Goose Mother and the Agatha's Soul Cauldron. That was the biggest bummer of a matchup, because that card's not even that massive of a deal in some matchups, but it blanks so much of our game plan. That whole game kind of just went horrifically for us, where everything lined up terribly, where they had the 2-mana counterspell for our 2-mana ramp card, and then we just kept missing land drops and drawing into more 5 and 6 mana cards, so we just couldn't cast anything to finish that game off. That one was the most brutal, but rough stuff overall in the end, but a great record regardless. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the videos. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, you can always like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.